I really like it when I see a manufacturer actually listen to people. Welcome back, everybody, or welcome for the first time if you've never seen any of these videos before. My name's Josh the RV Nerd. I'm with Bish's RV. We're down here at Jayco today, and when this model first came out last year, I saw the very first prototype of it they had made, and we knew that there were going to be some changes made. What I love, though, is when I put the footage of that camper out, they actually listened to a lot of the comments. Now, you can't listen to everybody's comments because sometimes they conflict with one another, but for the most part, I think they did the right, smart things. So, like last year when this first was going to be released, the converter was in a place where the slides blocked it from being accessed in transit. They fixed that. There's a couple other little fine-tuned things that they tweaked up a little bit to make it a little more flowing and functional. And when this came out last year, it had an absurdly extra long, spacious bedroom. And I was kind of wondering, do we need it to be that big? But the audience spoke and said, leave it. Give me that big bedroom space where I can actually put on a pair of pants in the bedroom without needing to like sneak around through the hallway to get to the bathroom. They did the things that folks said they were looking for, like they stuck with the cloth touch furniture, which now a lot of other brands are starting to move toward, and it's crazy. They suddenly don't have any of that pleather flaking problems because they don't have the flaking pleather furniture going on in these. Now, this RV's greatest asset is also its greatest liability. I think some people are going to look at this and say, I don't understand why they didn't flip-flop swap the slides to put the windows on the campsite. They do that in a different floor plan. This is purposely intended to be something otherwise. And what they do here is it has tons of window coverage. Now, a lot of the window coverage is on the neighbor side, and shooting you straight like that is what you're gonna get in this video. But what it has on the back is this absurdly large countertop prep space with a little mini desk station that could get you through a little bit of a weekend warrior laptop quick stop kind of scenario, and a bunch of other cool aspects on this floor plan. It's not gonna be for everybody, but it does some things very well that are sometimes very hard to find. And if you appreciate how we're gonna tell you the good with the bad, hit that subscribe button if you're new with us to catch us on the next one. In the meantime, let's get going on this one. Now, some quick housekeeping notes. This RV that we're looking at it's Bon Jovi. It's halfway there to the 26 updates. This floor plan has the RV that we're looking at right now has a bunch of the 26 changeovers, like the new woodworks and whatnot. This is still the 2025 fabric tones, so that will be changing a little bit here. Also, this RV is halfway there in terms of what's called the J Feather Premier package. There's basically the basic J Feather, and then there's the J Feather Premier. For the most part on the inside, this looks like a J Feather. The Premier package will add the nose cap that you saw on the outside, but it will also do things like upgrade to solid surface countertops, and it will upgrade to larger XL vent fans in both kind of the living cavity as well as the bathroom. Basically, wherever there's a fan, you'll get a bigger fan. So keep those things in mind. And again, if you're like, I wish the windows were on the campsite instead of the driver's side, I get it. They make other models that do that. This is intentionally made to be something different. Now, you do have a 15,000 BTU Coleman Mach Air by default. They do offer 50 amp service. I think they're all, J Feathers are 50 amp now, but you can get a second air added at the factory or even at one of our dealerships. You also have a variety of furniture swaptions. Like today we're looking at probably the most popular combo, the theater seat dinette, but you can get hide-to-bed freestanding table or any combination thereof. You can also get full slide super sofa, which I personally really like in a couple's model. All these amazing windows that we're looking at do have blackout roller shades. I personally like the kind of executive slate gray kind of color palette that they've gone to here. I also really like how they went to just a one-piece header slider fascia up here on all their slides. It just looks super clean to me. It eliminates more joint points, and it eliminates how many staples and fasteners and everything else. Did you notice they're also fastened from the backside so you don't see that machine gun line of staples, which is something I appreciate. Jayco has redesigned their heating system. Basically anything new that they make and pretty much all their fifth wheels, they still have the heat runs kind of, oh no, I'm sorry. This is a laminated floor. This doesn't have that Eagle flooring. My apologies. I've been recording so many things I kind of forgot what I'm in. And it's tricky because Eagle makes this same basic layout called a 320. The difference is the Eagle version actually has a full bed slide with washer dryer prep. So if you like what you see on this Jay Feather and you want to kick it up a notch like Emeril Lagasse, why did I say his name so weird? Anyway, bam, you get the idea. Right now, if you don't know who celebrity chefs are, you don't know who Emeril Lagasse is. But he was one of the most famous for the longest time, and I watch a lot of Food Network, so hey. Down here, this is going to be either a love-hate thing. And if you don't like it, there's other Jay Feathers. But instead of doing the same sofa on the rear wall that everybody does, they said, what if we just added a ton of counter space and a lot of storage? So this RV, the benefit of this RV is that it actually has the most square foot of counter space you're going to find, I think, within the entire Jay Feather lineup. And being a couples model, I don't know that you need seating for 6 to 8. Now, if you do prefer seating for 6 to 8, look at something else. That's okay, you know. But this counter space and the little mini laptop warrior station desk over here, it's a hard thing to find. Now, I'm not telling you that sitting on this little storage cube for an entire weekend while working is going to be awesome sauce, but if you need just a quick little laptop spot, you can. The other thing is I always think to myself, what would I use this space for? And I was measuring it, and I found out it's just deep enough. I could actually just keep my laptop and my chargers and my mouse and everything in there. So it's like when I need to bust it out, I can pull that stuff out. I've got the power outlets that pop up, or these can be power outlets for like a rear electric griddle station or blenders or whatever you want to make it, Margarita 30, I don't know, coffee maker, whatever the case may be. But this rear wall, I'm spending a lot of time on it because I think it's really one of the key clutch differentiator points on this RV. Now, the standard Jay Feather will have the thermal foil countertops we're looking at. If you go with the optional Premier package, they will upgrade to solid surface through the kitchen area. Now, Jay Feathers aren't like dishwasher prepped or anything like that, but I do appreciate how they give us a nice toe kick. You see all the shadowing under the island cabinetry right there? It lets you really belly up to the bar. The irony about what I just said is that when we come over here into the kitchen and entertainment super slide, we do technically have a toe stubber. This is a Norco exact slide system, and as a result, it doesn't technically go totally floor flush. So there is a little bit toe stub right there. Some folks may not like that. Some folks may feel so strongly about it, you might call it a deal breaker. I'm not here to argue with you. I just want to point out the features that an RV has. And if that means this isn't the right camper for you, that's cool. I'd appreciate if you hung out for the rest of the video and still shared some feedback, because your feedback's still useful and valid. But I want to kind of, just respect you and your time. And there's a lot of different stuff you could watch on the internet. I'm talking to myself in the mirror now, So I appreciate you spending some time with me. Now over here, this is a rack and pinion super slide, which, for those big, deep sofa slides, I think you really want and or need. Now, if you look at this, I got some clarity from the Jay Feather guy. I don't know that these little cup holder swivel stands are going to remain a standard feature. I think you can probably still request and option them on, but because this RV already has a dining solution, I'm not sure those little swivel stands are going to remain a default part of this thing like they have for years on Jayco campers. One thing I do really like about this RV, though, is I think it's got all the right junk in all the right places once you get to your destination. This is not the travel-friendliest floor plan, but when you get there and you plop down in this theater seat, it is a pretty awesome experience. Now, I'm on the right-hand theater seat, so you can see I'm not directly in front of the windows on the entertainment, but it's not like it's terrible by any means. I've certainly dealt with worse. And just to kind of give you a little bit of your own POV when you're sitting in here, the window coverage, although you look at it, and by default when you walk in, you see tons of windows on the driver's side of the RV, or as it is more technically known, the poop side of the camper. Maybe just more technically in my nerdy world of things. But you get the idea. It's actually, the window coverage here isn't necessarily too bad. However, if you feel like flicking on the television, as you saw in our flyby footage, that is just a simple push-button, power televator right there. Now, it obviously blocks the vast majority of the window, so you kind of have to choose entertainment or campsite viewing. If it's an awful rainy day, or if you don't like the neighbor beside you, you can always just put a picture on that television that looks like a beautiful destination, and you can kind of pretend you're somewhere that you're not. The counter space here is awesome. Although, I would say I would probably try to put something on the counter there in case you have a spill so it doesn't spill down in the televator. But if you notice, your water stuff is not actually over there in that kitchen slide, but obviously if you have a pot of water and you spill something, you don't want it dribbling down there. So just basically, I'm looking for potential problem points to help you avoid having a problem. Sometimes being forewarned is forearmed. Great drawer space in this floor plan overall. This is only the appetizer, basically, of the drawer area. The RV is not totally level, so that freezer door does not want to hold itself open. But it is a larger 12-volt compressor fridge, in case you're curious. I also really appreciate just the little details, like when manufacturers use struts or hinges that will defy gravity, the anti-gravity cabinet solution. This over here I wanted to open up because if you look at it, it looks like you got cheated. This is an access panel to things like your furnace and your water heater back there. It's not actually a storage solution, but it has normal cabinet doors because it's in your living room, so they want to kind of mask it and make everything sort of look the same. But as I said, we've got a lot more storage to go. And I kind of like how they give us some different size drawers because you have different size stuff you need to put into a kitchen, you know. Under the sink, they also left this nice and open, so, you know, big waste baskets, even larger pots and pans have a nice little home. It's just the kind of thing that a lot of RV builders just don't think about. And again, my whole point with this video is that Jayco was listening and they were doing the things that people said, yes, we would really like that. The table base change to that elliptical base isn't personally my favorite, but that actually is something where they put some poles out, some feelers out. They actually asked me to help with that. And a lot of people said, just go to the elliptical base thing so I can have a free floating table. They kind of didn't want to adopt this, but people said to do it. So they said, all right, we'll just give the people what they want. And you may have also noticed how they've increased the size of the windows on the slide sides, basically maximizing light, viewing, and airflow, especially on the floor plans where you have window coverage, a little more on the camp side of things. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. I think I asked you, but I'd be kind of curious, maybe answer me a second time. What sort of furniture arrangement would you prefer in one of these? Moving our way forward here, this is another one of those things that when the original prototype came out, the converter fuse box was mounted over here, and when the slides closed, you could not reach it. And everyone said, just rotate it 90 degrees. I don't care if I look at the converter when I walk in the camper. I need it to be accessible, because if the slides are closed and you pop a fuse, you're going to blow a fuse personally. All your controls are all kind of located in one spot here. They've gotten away from a lot of the smart commandy stuff. This is your tankless on-demand water heater controller. Your bathroom door in your Jaycos, they're very good about this from top to bottom in the lineup. Actually does have a lock. It's just, sometimes it's just the little things that make a big difference, you know. Porcelain foot flush stool, and it was a little tight on the right side when I do my little toilet selfie champion routine here, but overall, I thought it worked pretty darn fine. Now we're going to get a split view vision here of this storage area with my little hat shoved in there to give you a frame of reference. But notice over on the right side, you actually have an Octopus Fight Club to give you a place to hang some towels to dry them off as well. Now remember, when you get the J-Feather Premier package, this will upgrade to the extra large, like full-size vent fan instead of the little 4-inch variety. J-Feathers are 6.5 foot tall though. So when I stand in the shower, that does mean that my head is in the bubble, but I can deal with it. You know, some people hate it. Some people absolutely despise that. Some people are taller than me and it just flat out doesn't work. But I spend a very small amount of my daily time in a shower as compared to everywhere else. So I do prefer RVs with a little taller interiors, but it's not necessarily a hard requirement for me. I also really appreciate how they put a couple of these over here, because the thing is, this is a laminated wall. And the wall paneling on the inside is Asdel. Asdel has like crap for screw retention. So for them to put these here from the factory, they actually install a galvanized steel backer so the screws have something to bite into. So if Jayco didn't put these here, you really wouldn't be able to have a place to hang a jacket or a dog leash or anything right by the door. Again, it's just tiny details that matter. Now this front bedroom is so big and spacious, it almost looks slightly barren to me. Like, you notice how you don't have the side hanging wardrobe towers like a lot of RVs do? They have plenty of hanging storage in other areas. We have our 60 by 80 true queen bed down here. If I'm not mistaken, Jay Feather does offer a 70 by 80 RV King option. And when this floor plan was first created, it was originally drafted up as a White Hawk, which has a little bit different front profile. When White Hawk was absorbed into Jay Feather, what happened was it pulled the bed super far forward and created a massive space at the foot of the bed. And I'm not using fisheye wide-angle lensing. It's just a huge space at the bed where you can throw down a yoga mat probably, do some RV yoga and bust your lower back like I tried to being a joker in one video, about killed myself. But I thought, why do we need this much bedroom space? Why don't we shrink this down and make the RV shorter and lighter? And viewers very emphatically said, no, leave that there. There's plenty of other RVs that have, you know, smaller bedrooms. We specifically want something with a bigger bedroom. And Jayco said, all right, you got it. Once again, keeping the cabinetry that will hold itself up. And they did make it tall enough so that, like, if you want to sit up in bed, it's not going to be an issue. Your side stands over here, actually, it's like a bop it. Pull me. Come here. Your side stands, the top is actually a drawer. What's neat about that is if you have stuff sitting on here and you pull it open, unless you pull it, rip it open like John Wick, because everything John Wick does is super extreme. You ever notice that? But unless you do that, your stuff will pretty much stay there. And you also, of course, have household outlets. You have wireless charge pads more further up on the headboard. And if you pop them up, they actually have dual USB Type A plugs on them. Great big bedroom cross breeze windows is a nice touch. And if I kind of take a knee on the bed and get you around the corner over here, I'll give you a view sort of from the headboard of the bed area. I'm just trying very hard to keep my shoes off the furniture. It drives me crazy when I see people stomping their dirty frickin' shoes all over somebody else's RV. It's just the rudest thing I've ever seen. And I see it happen a lot. What's funny is I see it happen not just from like other YouTube people, but from factory people. And that's really the one that baffles me right there. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that, guys? But I don't know. Everyone's got their positives and negatives. I'm certainly no different. I'm annoying, for instance. A real quick glance with the slides closed very quickly reveals you are totally cut off from the kitchen and living room area. So this RV has what I call nap and crap access, but it is not snacktastic. So it's good for like if you've had a long drive and you just need to pull over and sleep for the night. It's not necessarily good for just stopping over and having a sandwich. Quick note for you. This is a Norco Exact slide. So although the button is right here, and you might ask, well, is this one of those slides I can partially open to get to the fridge? You really shouldn't. This slide system, you should hold your finger on the button until it's all the way closed and the motor stops making noise, and then you let go, because it'll actually keep itself self-adjusted. If you want to learn more about slides, definitely check out my slide video where you can learn kind of some of the basic do's and don'ts that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. The question always on a travel trailer like this is it half-ton towable? My answer there is it kind of depends. If you have a late model, very capable half-ton, and you're going to be going across some pretty modest terrain, you might find it okay. If you're going to do a lot of distance highway towing, especially through adverse terrain like mountains and hills and valleys and whatnot, I don't know that I'm going to recommend that. I'm not going to say a generalized recommendation of a half-ton. I'm going to say a situational recommendation, with the majority of situations leaning toward 3/4 ton. And that does mean that I have just drastically potentially limited the audience that could potentially purchase one of these from Bish's RV. My goal with this is not to trick you into buying something so we can make money. It's to help you find the right one and to do it the right way. You know what I mean? Now, we are looking at an early version of what Jay Feather's calling their Premier package. That's like, normally this would not have a nose cap. Again, the Premier package is going to be a multi-layer trim level that Jayco just finally ironed out, where it's like the nose cap, the XL vent fans, the solid surface countertops, and a few other things. So we're seeing some kind of visual and functional updates and upgrades on this one. Now, up here in the front, you see that little blue sticker below the propane tanks. That's telling us this is riding on a little different chassis than industry standard. This is a Norco frame. The underbelly is enclosed and forced air heated. I don't know if they've actually done the 0 to 100 degree weather testing on J Feathers. I know they had White Hawk, and White Hawk was absorbed into J Feather, but that doesn't mean that they have the exact same capabilities. I really do like, first of all, big baggage doors on both sides. Secondly, notice how nicely they have finished this off. They could have left the raw wood construction under the bed at the top, but they didn't. They cleaned it up a little bit. My only note in that pass-through is I kind of just wish that battery disconnect switch on that other side was up a little bit higher to get it away from shifting cargo. It's just a tiny thing that I always look for. You see the blue 2+3 sticker there in the window. That ain't no jive. J Feathers basically have twice the warranty, well, Jayco's period, have twice the warranty as nearly anybody else out there in the marketplace. There are a very slim number of manufacturers who have an actual 2-year RV warranty. A lot of manufacturers have a 3-year structural. That's what the +3 is. Jayco has that too, but they also have double the base RV coverage. Spare tire, if you look at that very front awning arm and look straight down, you can see the spare tire hanging down under the belly. The front awning is a little bit short because you do have that extra large bedroom window, but at least they gave you that second awning so that the entry door is protected and it is covered. Another easy to miss detail on these is that stovetop exhaust vent hood right under the word feather, that black rectangle there. If you are cooking inside, that will keep you from cooking yourself out of the camper. Another thing that you can't see at all, well, technically there's one spot if you know where to look, but generally speaking, you can't see it. Sorry, I get very specific in my technicalities sometimes. Azdel. J Feather is a dual Azdel using brand. So it's a composite layering below the fiberglass and on the inside layer of the laminated wall. It has several benefits, like a little bit of noise reduction. The thing is, though, Azdel itself is it's basically melted down pop bottles and fiberglass. It cannot rot, mold, or mildew itself. That doesn't make the wall magically waterproof. It does make it very hard for this wall to delaminate. A lot of people don't realize, especially as an RV ages, a lot of RV delamination is not actually caused by water leaks. A lot of aged RVs skin delaminates from the structure because of heat expansion and contraction. The trick is the wood Luan paneling under most RV fiberglass expands and contracts at a different rate from the fiberglass. And I know I'm getting into some sciencey content here, but Azdel and fiberglass both are essentially fiberglass and polypropylene in some slightly different concentrations. But what that means in English is the skin and the substrate of this expand and contract at a far similar rate when you are in the sun and then cooling off. And that will help the skin not have a toad skin effect where it actually hasn't leaked, but you can see bubbling under the skin because it literally stretched. Now, back here in this corner, you can see a couple things. You see that receiver hitch giving you the easy cargo function off the back, the hot-cold outside utility shower, on-demand water heater. This will work really well for the kitchen space. It is pretty far away from the bathroom, though, so you will have to wait just a smidge to get that hot water up to the bathroom area. That's true of most RV water heaters placed that far away. That's not just an on-demand water heater problem. One thing some folks may not like on this, and J Feather's very good about avoiding this where they can, so I can say with confidence there was no way to get around it. This RV does have 2 sewer hookups. Back here, you know, just below that water heater, you do have your kitchen gray tank outlet. And then when we get up here, you have your bathroom black and gray outlet. There just really was no way to cross plumb those things together because of the distance that they had to cover. The underbelly is literally not tall enough to allow water to, you know, roll downhill far enough to cross plumb everything. So that's also the reason, if you look at the specs of this RV, you're like, why does it have so much more gray water than everything else? Are these guys stupid? No, factories use generally one size gray tank. But because this RV needs 2, it means this RV ends up with double the gray water that it normally would have. Now, for a park camping person like me, that's awesome. If you're a boondocker, it just definitely provides you far less benefit. So there's always positives and negatives to everything, guys. So I hope you appreciate us getting down here away from the store, getting you the updated footage here in advance. You know, I got this way ahead of the curve actually, because I knew this is one that people wanted to see more of last year. If you're curious or serious, like how much does one of these things run, guy? Check the links in the video description. We always have information down there for pricing and availability. And what was I just gonna say? Oh, I'll leave you some links to maybe a couple other builders I've seen with a similar layout. If you like this, but you're like, I really wish it just had a bedroom slide, take a look at the Eagle 320. I've got footage of that one for you too. It's everything this one does on steroids with a bedroom slide and a full washer dryer prep station and a partridge in a pear tree. So this is already pretty spicy, I'll say. And then Eagle goes to that Carolina Reaper level. I think it's funny that we've created peppers that nature didn't, that will hurt a person if they eat it. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? So when you're ready, we're ready. I don't know why I go way off topic like that, but thank you for tolerating me. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.